Welcome to today's explainer on annual audit planning. Look, if you want structure, exactness, and a precise understanding of how the absolute best in the business map out their year, you are definitely in the right place. We're getting into a real masterclass on this topic today.
Okay, let's dive into this. What we're unpacking here is the absolute architecture of audit planning. We've got a complete visual syllabus up right now, and it's going to take us from top to bottom, totally uncompromising and unsummarized.
Here is exactly how we'll break it down. 1. What is annual audit planning? 2. Principles for effective planning. 3. The annual audit planning process. 4. We'll look at a concrete example of a manufacturing company. 5. Key considerations and benefits. And 6. The role of the internal auditor.
So, kicking things off with Section 1, what is annual audit planning?
At its core, annual audit planning is the process of identifying priorities and developing a plan for audit engagements for the upcoming year. It's really that simple. Just picture a corporate executive team gathering together in Q4. Let's be real, they simply can't audit every single thing in the company. That would literally be impossible, right? So they need to sit down, map out their priorities based purely on risk, and build a highly specific roadmap for the entire next fiscal year.
It acts as a key responsibility for internal audit. It basically decides what to audit, when to do it, and exactly how to allocate your resources. The ultimate goal here? To ensure your efforts perfectly align with the organization's goals and key risks. For a practical example, imagine your company just launched this highly anticipated, massive new product division. Well, that represents a huge new risk profile, doesn't it? So this planning process ensures you are deploying your top auditors specifically to that new division at exactly the right time, rather than wasting hours continually reviewing some low-risk, stagnant department.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the objectives. It's all about focus. You focus on areas with the highest risk, which naturally optimizes your audit resources. By doing this, you provide reasonable assurance, support organizational objectives, and ensure compliance. Take that last one, ensuring compliance. Say a strict new international data privacy policy just rolled out. Your objective isn't just to look busy, it is precisely to ensure compliance with that specific standard, literally focusing your limited resources exactly where a failure would be financially catastrophic. Which perfectly sets up Section 2, Principles for Effective Planning. An effective plan actually relies on 5 core tenets. It's got to be a risk-based approach, and it needs direct alignment with organizational objectives. You also have to give adequate resource consideration. Do you even have the people for this? But honestly, perhaps the most critical are flexibility and the involvement of stakeholders. That flexibility is absolutely vital out in the real world. I mean, imagine a sudden massive supply chain disruption happening halfway across the world. A rigid plan, it fails entirely in that scenario. An effective plan has the built-in flexibility to force an immediate pivot, reallocating your auditors to address that sudden crisis the very next day.
All right, having established the principles, we obviously need a methodology to execute them. Section 3, Annual Audit Planning Process. Let's move to and see how this builds across a chronological, step-by-step journey. Step 1. You start by deeply understanding the organization. Think about really diving into the latest annual report to grasp the big picture. Step 2. You identify and assess risks, like pinpointing a specific cybersecurity vulnerability in some new software. Step 3. You prioritize those risks. Step 4 is when you actually develop the audit plan, scope, timing, resources, the whole shebang. Step 5. You review and approve it with the audit committee. And finally, Step 6. You communicate that finalized plan with all relevant teams to ensure total transparency across the board. Let's take those abstract concepts and ground them in reality. Section 4. Example, manufacturing company. And this brilliantly illustrates how risk definitively dictates scheduling. Just look at the areas with a high risk level here, like procurement and inventory management. Because of the immediate risk of things like fraud, vendor collusion, or stock loss, those critical audits are front-loaded right into Q1. Moving down the table, medium risks like production downtime or IT cybersecurity access issues, those are safely scheduled for Q2 and Q3. Finally, lower risk areas that already have good existing controls, like HR and payroll, just get pushed out to Q4. The pattern is incredibly clear here. The highest severity risks absolutely command the earliest and most immediate attention.
Moving right along, let's look at Section 5, Key Considerations and Benefits.
Before you even think about finalizing any plan, several huge variables come into play. You have to adapt to business environment changes, regulatory requirements, and emerging risks.
You also need to factor in stakeholder input, resource availability, and, crucially, previous audit results. Actually, let's consider that last one for a second. If a specific operations department completely failed a crucial compliance check last year, that outstanding issue must push them straight to the top of this year's action plan. You simply cannot ignore past failures.
So, what is the actual return on investment for all this meticulous work? Well, a solid plan ensures you focus on high-risk areas, which improves coverage and drives better resource allocation. But it also enhances overall governance and drastically increases stakeholder confidence. Picture this: you're in a tense, high-stakes annual board meeting. The directors are visibly sweating about a volatile market. When you stand up and present a tight, rigorously risk-based audit plan that proves you have your eyes on every major threat, boom, you instantly increase stakeholder confidence right there in the boardroom.
Now, who is actually in the hot seat executing all of this? Section 6, Role of Internal Auditor.
What is actually required of the professional in the chair? Their role is to facilitate risk assessment and develop that risk-based plan we've been talking about. But it doesn't stop there. They also have to coordinate with management and the audit committee and continuously monitor and update the plan. That coordination piece, it requires immense, highly delicate diplomacy. Think about it for a second. You have to partner closely with the very management teams you are actively auditing, while simultaneously reporting strictly to the oversight committee above them to maintain your absolute independence. It's a real balancing act.
Everything we've built toward today leads to one core takeaway. So, the crucial point is this: a well-planned audit is half the success. Annual audit planning helps internal audit deliver the right assurance at the right time on the right risks. I mean, it's not about doing audits just for the sake of auditing. It's about delivering exact assurance when it matters most, precisely on the risks that matter most.
It ultimately comes down to this guiding philosophy for all governance, risk management, and internal control professionals out there. Ready? Plan well, focus right, add value.
I want to leave you with a final thought as we wrap up today's explainer. If a well-planned audit truly is half the success, what blind spots in your own organization's annual planning are currently threatening the other half? Take these principles, look deeply at your own operations, and start closing those gaps today. Thanks for joining me, and keep focusing on the right risks.